A study just came out yesterday from the Kaiser Family Foundation, a nonprofit healthcare organization, and its findings are pretty clear. Within the next several months, healthcare premiums for 20 million Americans on the Affordable Care Act will double. Got that? Double. So you think that right now you're paying an outrageous amount for healthcare, and you are. And right now you can't afford healthcare, and many of you can't. Under the Republican proposal, your premiums will, on average, double. This is insane. It is unacceptable. In other words, instead of lowering healthcare costs, instead of adding more people to healthcare, cutting back on the number of people who are uninsured or underinsured, what Trump's legislation does is make a terrible situation much worse. So don't get confused. I know there's a lot of stuff in the media, and a lot of people in both political parties are arguing with each other and blaming each other. But to me, what is going on is really not complicated. And that is, if we do what the Republicans want us to do and pass a clean CR with no input at all from the opposition, if we just do that, 15 million Americans will lose their health insurance and tens of thousands will die unnecessarily every single year. If we pass the Republican legislation, your premiums will likely double in the very, very near future. Needless to say, I do not intend to support the Republican proposal.
The government shut down today for the first time in 6 years, and if we're lucky, it'll be a few days, maybe a shorter amount of time than that. I'm thinking it's going to probably be somewhere from a week to longer, because I really can't see the very divided Democrats and Republicans coming together. But really, if there was one group I'd lay blame on, it's the Republicans, simply because they have a government trifecta, right? They run the presidency, the House, and the Senate. And while they need 60 votes in the Senate to get, their spending bill passed, the fact that they can't peel off, 7 Democrats to support them really demonstrates how unwilling they are to work with the other side and to compromise in any meaningful way. A lot of Democrats object to the cuts they want to make to domestic programs like Medicaid. And the Republicans, just to kind of show you how disgusting they are, they're hiding behind this claim that the Democrats are trying to give health care to illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants, whatever you want to call them. That's not true. That it's illegal for them. It would be illegal for them to do that. The only reason they're saying this, again, is to try to divide people. Oh, see, the Democrats, they want health care for someone, all right, just not the people who were born here or are here legally. Ha 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 ha. And that's the kind of thing where, in a proper society, like we were talking about, people going after the Kirk assassination, I don't want to say proponents, but the people who were like either making light of it or trying to say things that were disparaging about him after the fact. And the kind of speech that there should really be some crackdown on is just the blatant spreading of misinformation by people who know full well that they're full of crap. So when Trump or Vance or any of these different, GOP senators or congressmen tell you the Democrats are trying to give illegal immigrants health care, they are lying. And I don't say that as someone that likes the Democrats at all. It's just, this is clearly a situation where if you were to tell anyone, hey, who is more at fault here? It's the Republicans. They should be able to present some program. Because remember, Democrats by and large aren't even like progressive, so they don't mind cutting a few dollars here or there off of programs that actually help people. But they should be able to present some proposal that is not right-wing extremist drivel, which can entice what is only, several plus Democrats to get on board with it. You have the Office of Management and Budget Director, Russell Vought, who apparently told House Republicans today that layoffs of federal workers are coming in the next day or two. And it's one of those things where you kind of start thinking to yourself, because obviously I've talked before about how I don't like to see people fired or laid off, or just less and less people working. I think it's bad for the economy. But we have to remember that one of Trump's signature moves throughout his term so far, this first almost quarter of it, has been to lay off people, right? So maybe this is part of what he wants. Oh, you're going to lay off some federal workers after our shutdown begins? Hey, go ahead. My favorite quote so far was when Vance said that there was going to be a little pain when he had this interview. I'm just like, man, it's easy for the vice president who sits comfortably in his house with his millions of dollars, right, to be able to say that. He's not going to be missing a meal or a paycheck. It's kind of interesting to think about how Trump had, what was that, 2-3 different shutdowns? I know it was multiple during his first term, which included the longest one in American history, that thing that went on for a whole month over. And it's kind of fascinating how, if you look at these 2 terms of his, the first one, he only has the government trifecta for the first 2 years, and then that's over, because then the Democrats won the 2018 race. But it's one of those, I guess what I'm conveying is it's really telling that he is such a bad negotiator, right? Mr. Art of the Deal, that this just keeps happening while he's in office. He can't compromise with the necessary number of Democrats needed to avoid a shutdown. And because he knows that he is free of any electoral consequences, it's not a big deal to him. I hope they're able to reach a compromise. I think the Republicans are going to get some kind of pushback from their constituents and, the various media appearances that they make. And then after that, we'll see a little bit more of a willingness to kind of temper down on some of their more ridiculous proposals. But the idea that it is the Democrats' fault that this happened when the Republicans, again, control all of government is absolutely insane.